Hey everyone! In this video today, as you can tell by the title, I want to do a sort of real-time, minimally edited Not With Me. We're going to be making this adorable heart keychain for Valentine's Day. So if you want to work on a project alongside me, or if you just want to have me on in the background while you are being productive, feel free to do so, and I hope you enjoy your time here today. It's going to be a long one. Hello. As you can tell by the title of this video, I wanted to try something new for this video today, and that is a real-time knotting. I really wanted to do something kind of unedited and work on the rest of this keychain, but I think I'm still gonna have to edit some stuff out, maybe add some music in, and make the music louder in any sort of quiet parts, because I don't know how long the rest of this keychain will take me to make, and I don't think I'll be able to talk the whole time. But I wanted to do something fun for this video, try out something kind of new. So you'll have to let me know down below what you think. I figured with this being an alpha keychain, this might be a little bit more interesting to watch, and we can just hang out for a little bit. I'm hoping that this video won't be too long. I originally wanted to make this keychain from start to finish on camera, but just doing this portion took me probably over an hour because I am just that slow. But maybe once I start getting into the groove, my hands can just do all of the work. We'll see what happens. I'm already struggling to figure out what to talk about. I feel like talking and trying to make this alpha at the same time is a little stressful. And the angle at which I'm working on this is not a perfect angle for me, so I'm hoping that the second half of this keychain doesn't turn awful quickly. I'm very picky about the way my alphas look. This alpha may look pretty good, and I will agree that I'm liking how it's turning out so far, but I am a hardcore perfectionist. But I feel like with only working with two different strands, or two different colors, I guess you would say, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to control how neat the alphas turn out. But I think really the best way to get better is just by doing. And see, I mess up so much, dropping all my threads. But yeah, I think the best way to get better is just by doing it. A lot of practice and learning things you can do while you're working on said craft or whatever it is, to see and observe what you're doing and like why something might not be turning out the way you want it to, and how you can make it look nicer or more clean, or just different things you can do to make it look better the more you do it. And I have this pattern pulled up off to the side in paint.net so I can kind of cross out the rows as I'm doing them so that I can keep track a lot better. I actually started a different keychain for this video, and it's just this really cute like sun and moon pattern, and I love how the ombre was perfectly split on this one. like the lightest shade is right in the middle of the sun. But then I, for some reason, was browsing through Sodapop's patterns, because this keychain right here is a Sodapop pattern, as well as what I'm working on right now. But I went through her profile and I saw this really cute heart keychain. And I am filming this on Sunday, February 11th. And I saw this heart pattern and I thought to myself, oh my god, Valentine's Day is coming up on Wednesday. This will be the perfect time to upload it. I have plenty of time to film this and minimally edit it and get that posted on Wednesday. Unless for some reason I don't get it up in time, but I know I will have it up like during this week, because there really won't be much editing to do here, just very minor stuff. But I wanted to attempt this pattern. Instead of doing an ombre and a white side, I wanted to use 2 different ombre strands. As you can see, I have 2 different shades of pinks here. But I am kind of sad because the dark pink ombre, it kind of lines up a little too well in the middle of the light pink ombre. And so the heart, it stands out enough, I think, but it's still, I was like, oh man. It was like nearly perfect. And I cut my base strands pretty short, which is good, you know, I don't have to use as much string, but it kind of makes it hard to hold on to while I'm working on this, because I've kind of found when I'm working on alphas that I really like to pull down on my base strands while I'm making my knots. I don't know if that actually makes any difference, but I've kind of enjoyed doing that. It feels a lot neater. But the only thing that really frustrates me with alphas is I think this is going okay so far, but when I work on alphas, for some reason my right side always starts dragging a bit more. And I don't know where it starts doing that, but it always starts out really strong. And then all of a sudden, I just notice my right side is like dragging down a little bit. And it's not even noticeable in the knots. Like, I think they all go across like super nicely, but then all of a sudden, my right side is just going down. And I noticed that especially in bigger projects. I think with these keychains that I've made, especially last year, I've made a few of these keychains from Sodapop. It's not really as noticeable, or it doesn't really happen at all, but it's just so weird. The more that I work on them, the more I'm trying to be more observant about my knots and just like how my strings behave. I can talk about all my little tips and tricks as they come up while working on this, because there's a few little quirky things with this pattern that I've had to learn how to work with or kind of work around in a way. The word vomit is so strong right now. It's not very comfortable doing this when it's my first time ever like real-time knotting. Like, I know I made a like knot with me before. Well, I've made quite a few. I know I've made a few knot with me's in the past, but they've always been time-lapsed, or like my first Q&A when I hit 20,000 subscribers. I really wanted to do like a real-time Q&A. Oh my god. But I ended up just doing a time-lapse because it kind of got a little overwhelming, because I was like, how am I gonna like do the questions and then like, you know, I have to pause and go back into it. Like, it was just kind of annoying, so I left it at that. But with these fun like yin-yang patterns that Sodapop makes for these keychains, they're really so easy to do. And I thought, you know, this might be a good way to dip my toe in, so to speak. And especially when I'm at the end of the pattern or halfway through it, can finish it off on camera. And hopefully this does not take me an hour, but at this rate, I'm kind of worried it is, because you can obviously see how slow I am working on these. But I think, like I said before, anywhere that's kind of dead, I'll boost the music and maybe speed it up a little bit too, just so it's not so awkward. Especially if this turns out to be like an hour. Like, I think if it was like 45 minutes, that would be cool. But I have started working on my third row on camera and it's already been almost 11 minutes. So that's not good. That's really not good. But like, this is just how fast I work. Like, sometimes if I'm really in the zone, like I was watching a movie while I was starting this keychain, and I feel like I worked on it a lot faster, although it was a movie I hadn't seen before, so there were times where I had to stop to see what was going on because there was something like exciting happening. But sometimes I can kind of get into that flow, but talking while doing it is a whole other beast. So I hope this isn't too weird. I don't know. I'm probably going to edit a lot of my audio. I don't think I could ever like actually make this fully an unedited video kind of thing, because I stop talking in the middle of my sentences a lot, or I'm stuttering, or my sentence isn't coming out the way I want it to, so I have to start over, you know, just like a regular tutorial. And like the way I'm just kind of hovering over my pattern, I can't tell if my edges are perfect or not. So I'm like stressed inside because I want it to be perfect. A little hydration break there. So, how is your year going so far? Have you been making a lot of bracelets / alphas / everything in between? Believe it or not, these two things are the first thing friendship bracelet related I have worked on this year. And it is, like I said earlier in the video, it is February 11th. So that is kind of crazy to think about, but I have been very occupied lately with crocheting. Kind of towards the end of December, I started to get more into it, but this past month of January and so far in February, I've just been going so hard on crocheting. I made 2 different pullovers / cardigans from Passionate Kelsey's videos. I loved those tutorials, and it was just like all I did every day for these past couple months. And it's been really fun. I am deep into my crochet right now. Usually when I crochet, I will work on something for a little bit, and then I kind of just drop everything and don't touch crochet again for like another 6 months or more sometimes. And then I get back into it and I'm having a great time. Rinse and repeat. But right now it has just been so intense, and I've just been, you know, trying to enjoy every second of it before the allure wears off again. Which I don't want it to. I love crocheting. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it because my tension is just confusing, but I think I'm starting to learn that I just naturally crochet pretty tight. like, not super tight, but I've been working on granny squares for an upcoming project, and I'm like halfway done with them, which is crazy because I think I've been only doing this project for a couple weeks now. But I, for the first time ever, probably, checked my gauge. Like, I made a granny square and I was curious as to what size it was in relation to the pattern I was following, and my square was half an inch smaller than what their gauge was. And so I was kind of frustrated by that because I'm even using a hook size that they recommended on the website, and also the yarn is a little bit smaller. So I don't know if maybe something is kind of conflicting there, like the yarn weight or the recommended hook size is different. So I don't know, like, if that has anything to do with it. I'm just kind of going with what feels right, and honestly it's fine if the squares are smaller because the garment I'm working on, the measurements for it are a little bit bigger than what I would wear because I am pretty small. So it's fine if they're a little bit tighter. If anything, I kind of wish I did do the recommended hook size, which was 5mm. I've been using a 5.5 because then I think it would be a little bit more fitted. I've already done so many squares and it's fine, like it can fit a little bit more loose, but I think if all goes well with that, I would love to make a tutorial on it. So that's why I'm kind of being a little like hush hush about what I'm doing with it, but it's really exciting. And I can't wait to see like how that turns out. And it's funny because I've always really struggled to follow patterns, but this one seems to be pretty easy so far, and I've just kind of been learning to like slow down a little bit so that way I can, you know, read it and comprehend it, because reading crochet patterns is definitely overwhelming to say the least. And when I do color changes, sometimes when you bring in the next color to switch back to it, it kind of gets stuck on the bottom of the knot. And so I always try to correct that before I seal the knot with my new color. Like, I feel like it just kind of helps make that look a little bit more clean. And, you know, sometimes I will kind of like push the underneath of the knots up a little bit so that they're more uniform. I like how the keychain's turning out. It definitely is easier to do when you have less colors / strings to work with, because this one obviously I'm only working with 2. Mark that off. I'm feeling mildly overwhelmed by how many rows I still have left to do, but we are just plugging away here. I am so excited to see how this turns out, especially with this dark pink coming in. Oh, it's so exciting. So I am doing like kind of the flat alpha technique. I think actually I am doing the flat alpha technique, but these edges are always a pain. Do you see how it like kind of sticks out a little bit? The secret I've found to making these edges like so perfectly straight is like doing your half of your knot and then like making sure you pull your background strand that you pulled off to the side like pretty tight so that this is completely in line. Like, if you want these to be absolutely perfect, it seems to be just like a lot of manipulating and then like being as still as possible with your project so that you can lock in the straight edge. And even then, I feel like I need to get my head way closer to see if I can get this perfect. because I feel it kind of trying to fight with me a little bit right here. And then like it's going this way and I'm not right-handed. So it's kind of a struggle, but I think I got it actually. And then once I pull this string back in later down the row, I think like pulling that a little bit tighter can bring that in a little bit. But oh man, these edges get so stressful. Especially as a perfectionist. Like most people wouldn't really care, but I'm like sweating over here almost. Let's see, I have to make 3 knots, so there's 2 and 3. And we'll see when we pull my other strand back in if we can like fix that a little bit. See, it's like kind of trying to go on the bottom of the knots, so I kind of have to lift this up and pull on this. There's just so much involved right now, and for some reason I'm like really messing up even though I was doing fine. Sometimes you just have to roll with it too. Like most people who admire these projects really don't notice that stuff. But it really just bugs the crap out of me, and I don't even know if it's even wonky. I think it's the shadow messing with me right now from all my lighting. I think it probably looks fine. My tripod is a little bit in the way too, so when I try and pull my knots and pull my hand all the way forward, I hit it a little bit. Okay, and then this one is a sneaky little one too, because we only need to make 1 knot of this darker strand right here. So when it comes to doing that, because we only need to make 1 knot and then we're going to bring this color back. So in this instance, I always just leave it hanging out and then complete my knot, and then just kind of let that hang off to the side, and then we bring the other color back in and just keep on going. Sometimes like having this kind of row can get a little bumpy or wonky, but I really try and pull this string up like as much as it'll go. Like I don't know how to describe it, but there's just this little hitch where it kind of feels like it's locked underneath the keychain nicely. Oh, why is that weird? Kind of bunched up here. This needle is too fat. I don't know what happened here. Let me see if I can fix that. I was hoping I wouldn't make a mistake, but it happens to the best of us. Oh, okay, it was from the start of my knot. There we go. And then we can just continue again. There we go. That looks a lot better. And I still even stopped to just kind of push up my knots, make sure they're all even. I don't use a ruler or anything. I used to have this plastic sort of protractor that I would keep in my quote-unquote kit when I was working on alphas, but quite honestly, I feel like it really never made a difference. I don't know if I knot a little bit tighter. Honestly, I can't really tell how tight I knot. Like, I try not to knot so tight that it like hurts my hands or anything, but I can kind of pull the rows down a little bit. Like if it looks a little wobbly, I can just pull the row down a little bit. So I guess I have some weird like in between tension, like I don't know, because I feel like if I'm trying to compare it to like my regular friendship bracelets, I feel like I still knot my friendship bracelets a lot tighter, but I don't know, my knots don't look small, you know? So it makes me think I do kind of not on the looser side. Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot about friendship bracelets, but I don't know everything. But back in the day, I definitely would knot pretty dang tight. Like, I don't know how I loosened up over time, but just like with doing these so much and for so long, I think my hands just know exactly what they need to do. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I think it really is just like a shadow casting weird, making me think that this is uneven. I really can't tell though. Like, kind of on camera it looks, I don't know. I should just not worry about it. I feel like maybe I'm a little burnt out on friendship bracelets right now, and I feel like I kind of have been in a rut for a while. Like, last year I did also like my whole Pride series, but I really didn't make that many things last year just for me. Like, especially with these keychains. Like, this one obviously is going to be made for fun, and this one really is mostly for fun too, even though I'm filming it. I'm really just working on it and not trying to teach anyone how to make it. But last year, I think for a while, like, I've just been kind of stuck in a rut. But like, after starting these keychains, it's kind of all I want to make. Like, I want to make so many of Sodapop's other keychains that she has like this, and those are just not really like content worthy. But like, I'm kind of excited about that too. But the only problem is just like, I don't know what this year is going to look like for my channel as far as tutorials go. Which I know is kind of silly to say because it is only February. Like, we have 10 other months to be worrying about this. But I've just felt kind of out of it with bracelets lately. Like, I am having so much fun right now though, so maybe this has sparked something in me again. But like, I don't know, maybe it's also just because I've been crocheting so much, but I have barely touched my bracelet cart that I have, and it's kind of starting to become a real mess too. Like, I started cutting my own bobbins because I have so many skeins laying around that I wanted to recycle and repurpose some of my like food boxes and stuff. But the idea of winding all that just sounds so tedious, but I honestly really need to have a day where I just sit down and reorganize that. Like, I think, what was it, a few years ago now, maybe a couple, I had organized all of my thread, and that's still going pretty strong, which is exciting. Like, I'm usually pretty good about grabbing the threads I need, cutting them, and putting them back. But I feel like it just needs a little bit more of an organization, and I maybe would like to film that. I have a lot of video ideas, but I'm kind of overwhelmed about the time it takes to do some of these. Like, especially this one. I need to sit out for a very long time to do this, which, you know, is fine. But I'm just saying, like, I have quite a few ideas of things I would like to do that aren't just tutorials, but are still crafty. But I just need to, like, dedicate time to it. And also, I would really like to declutter my actual collection. I finally, at the end of 2023, have put my whole collection in a shoebox. Legitimately in a shoebox, and it is kind of a nightmare to look at because I don't wear any of my bracelets. I have a few that I've made that I wore from time to time, but I don't really wear things on my wrist. I will wear hair ties and stuff, but otherwise I'm not a huge fan of wearing things on my wrist. So really, like, making friendship bracelets, I love making videos for them, obviously, but I love just keeping my hands busy, and it's a very fun, creative craft I have in my whole arsenal of crafts that I do. But I just make bracelets and I put them away, and I will gift them when I feel like it. I will donate them to friends and family if they are really nice looking bracelets. Like, sometimes I have projects. Oh shoot, that was supposed to be a light colored knot, man. And now I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh yeah, I'll donate stuff to friends and family, like especially for Christmas or birthdays and stuff, if they are like perfect bracelets to me, because sometimes I will make bracelets that end up being smaller, or the ties don't quite work out the way I want them to. But 90% of the time I make bracelets, I admire them, and then they go and sit somewhere. I've done like farmers markets before, actually, and I will sell off some of that stock. And as much as I would like to have like an online shop, I just don't really have the energy to have two jobs. You know, like, this is all purely for fun. Everything I do on here is for fun. And to interject really quick, if I need to make one knot on the edge, I will completely ignore the the flat alpha, and I just pull that thing right underneath, so then my new color can kind of push that up, and it keeps it a lot more clean that way too, the edges. But yeah, I would love to have a shop. I think it'd be fun, but I think I have kind of missed my prime, so to speak. 2020 and a lot of 2021, I would say, was a very good year for me online, and it just kind of stops after that. Like, it's hard sometimes to have such a niche channel, and you stare at the numbers because you can't help that you do it, you know, and it's just like, wow, things are really falling off, which, you know, I could be to blame, I guess, because I'm not consistent. But if I wanted to be consistent, I would be working towards that. So I really can't get myself too upset looking at numbers sometimes, because, you know, if I wanted the numbers to be bigger, that is a completely active effort that I need to make, and it's not one that I have the capacity to make, really. Which is kind of a bummer. You know, I always wanted to have a fun little business, you know, like sell bracelets that I make, or make like little collections. Like, imagine if I just made keychain collections. Oh my god. Like, that'd be so cute. And just have like a little stock. But like, I don't know if I can commit to that. I don't know if I want to. But it's always a fun fantasy that I have, because, like, you know, I just make stuff and then they sit. Like, I'll crochet hats, and some of them I do wear, but a lot of the time I'm just making things to keep myself busy. But I just always have this fantasy, and maybe someday I will make it a reality, but I just don't know. Like, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, I think it would be so fun to just like make all these keychains and have all these different colorways, or maybe make like a themed collection involving all of the colors I use, you know. And especially like with these keychains, I'm working really slow right now, especially because I'm filming, but like, they don't take too long to make, you know. Like, I don't know, it would be so fun, and I always make a bunch of random things. Just like a catch-all kind of craft shop. But I don't know. It's overwhelming. And I work full-time, so I can't, make this my whole time. Like, I would like to come home and just chill, I don't want to come home and then start clocking in on another job. What is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've only made 3. I don't know. It's kind of sad to think about, because I think really the only thing that's stopping me is me at the end of the day. Like the excuses that I'm making just sounds like I don't want to put the work in. But putting the work in for something like this is terrifying, because you have to rely on the algorithm. Like, I would have to use all of my social media to promote everything. Like, obviously word of mouth exists, and your talents can make their way around to other people, but it's not sustainable. It's very profitable short term, and it's not like I even want to make money, Obviously money is nice to have, but it would just be nice to make all these things and have them go somewhere instead of sitting in a box like they are right now. You know what I mean? Like, I will make something and I throw it into a separate bag for the year, so that way I can do my like yearly recap that I've been doing since 2020. But then, once I'm done filming on December 30th or whenever, the last week of December, once that's all done and I have the thumbnail taken, I just throw everything in a shoebox and call it a day. And yeah, it's kind of sad just to think about, almost, I don't know if I'd say it's wasteful, but yeah, they just go in a box and just sit there. So I don't know, maybe someday, I don't know, maybe I've missed my window of opportunity, so to speak. Maybe it's just how it's meant to go. Or maybe I just need to be more confident in myself and have a much harder work ethic. But as it stands, I'll film and, do what I've always done, make tutorials for people to enjoy and learn from, and the passive income is really just the plus from that. But at the end of the day, this is still a hobby to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I feel like I am just word vomiting so bad. It's horrible. So I hope you guys are enjoying listening, whatever you're doing. If you're working on something too, or if you just have me talking in the background, that's fine too. I love having those videos that are more mundane and I can just play them while I'm doing something else, And I even have my videos that I've seen before, like especially like Passionate Kelsey. I love her vlogs, and I've probably watched some of her Vlogmas like twice already. Not even kidding. Just because I enjoy listening, and like it almost feels like, especially with like crafty stuff, it kind of boosts it. Like you're feeling a lot more creative because you're watching someone else be creative and kind of working alongside their creativity, if you want to put it that way. And yeah, I don't know, it's nice. And yeah, I've watched so many of her videos so many times and I never get tired of it. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yeah, this is, oh man, this is gonna take me a lot longer than I thought it would. That's kind of frustrating. Now I'm really worried that I'm not gonna have this up on Wednesday because I am going to have to watch this video through and listen to myself ramble the whole time because there were parts where I just stopped talking or I didn't know what thought I wanted to finish, and so I started over, or, you know, I want to splice things together so it sounds like I am actually speaking an organic sentence. With my tutorials, things are much more, like, sterile feeling, you know, because I edit out all of that stuff so that I don't take up too much time. But with this, I have all the time, so I'm just rambling. So I guess thank God I didn't end up making this like an unedited sort of thing. I don't even know if that's possible for me to do with how much I stutter and mumble and trip over my words. But I guess I will have some kind of clickbait. Because while there will be real-time nodding, I foresee myself speeding things up a little bit too. Like, I don't know if someone would want to click on an hour-long video, you know. So I might have to speed things up and make it like 45 minutes. Even though that's only 15 minutes shorter, I feel like that's much more likely for someone to want to click on. We are nearing the end of the heart though, so once we are done working with the middle, there are still a few color changes, you know, to finish off like the yin-yang pattern, but it'll be pretty smooth sailing from there, I think. Like when there's a lot of switching going on, obviously it makes sense to be working a lot slower because there's a lot of things I have to do, so many like micro adjustments. And really, maybe I don't even have to be making all these adjustments, but I'm so incredibly picky about my work that I am going to sit the extra few seconds to make sure it is all perfect. And I am feeling very excited about the palette I chose. I was originally going to just do like this pink one or this pink one and then do white on the other end, and obviously that would contrast way more on the pattern just inherently, but I think, oh god, my knot got really screwed up here. I think what I ended up doing with these two ombres together is really turning out super awesome. And this dark pink ombre, like the thread is pretty subtle. Like the color changing part of it, it really doesn't drastically change like this one does. And I think it's because these are two different brands. This is Iris, obviously, and I think this is Prism. I've had these threads for probably a decade now, and I'm not even kidding. Like when I was about 13 years old, oh god, so it'd be over a decade now. When I was like 13 or 14, I had got these variegated threads and I never really knew what to do with them. Like, I have since found patterns that work really nicely with the color changing threads, but I just haven't worked with them a lot. And so these keychains have been really nice to work with. And I don't know where I was going with that. Oh god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But yeah, I've just been, like, ever since these keychain patterns have popped up in the last year for me, these have been a really awesome way to use these up. And I won't even use all of the whole skein, so I might have to make like a scrap keychain or like something, you know? Ooh, maybe like a rainbow keychain, like do this kind of pattern, but do like a rainbow and just add in all of my scrap ombres. I think that actually would look really cool. But I feel like I would need a larger pattern to work with so that I can use more of the color changing. Like, if I'm gonna do a rainbow and only do small sections, like, clearly it's only gonna look like I'm using scrap thread, you know? Like, if I'm doing like just this pink part and you don't see any of the white part, then it kind of feels pointless. Like, at that point, just use actual scrap thread. But I don't know, that is something I'll have to keep in mind, because I will have plenty of leftover thread after these keychains, because clearly they don't take up that much string. Oh my god. See, I just drop my thread all the time. God. I'd probably work so much faster too if I wasn't dropping stuff all the time. It's just kind of an awkward space to work with. My filming setup right now is a little less than ideal. I've got a lot of things in the way of my space. And eventually I would like to get like another side table or like some kind of L desk configuration so that I can like have a much more permanent filming setup. And not really like permanent, but just like already set up for me, I guess, you know, like I have my light stands exactly where I need them. I can just move my lights across. My microphone can be in a better position that is not completely intrusive of my body. Like, my microphone is sitting pretty close to my shoulder, so I have to be careful that I don't absolutely hit it. But somewhere down the line, I would like to have a better film space instead of just like my main sitting area. Like, I think it works most of the time for a lot of people, but the depth of my desk isn't very big, so I just am very cramped right now. What did I say this was? This is 6. I think I need 7. Yeah. I can look at the pattern itself and be able to judge like where the next color change comes in, but sometimes that doesn't work because if I make one too many knots or if I miss one, it'll screw me up so quickly. So I really try my best to just keep looking at the pattern and counting over there instead of counting what I have here. And my thread is starting to tangle up a little bit, so I'm just taking off those little papers. This is the last row with the heart. That is very exciting. And then we only have 4 more rows left, so it's not really that much. I am at 55 minutes. Oh man, that's not too bad though, honestly. Like, this top section took me a little over an hour. The movie I watched was almost 2 hours, and I was doing that the whole time. But like I said, I took a lot of breaks to be more actively involved with the movie. So it's not bad. I honestly... I thought I was going to make this keychain in like an hour. Yeah, you guys will have to let me know how you're enjoying this. Maybe I can bring these back in every so often. I fear at how well this will be received by YouTube, Because while it is a longer video, I don't know if it's something that it'll be worth clicking on initially, but we'll see. Another kind of shortcut or things I try to do to make my life easier. If I am working in a row that mostly has the same color and the color change isn't until towards the end, I kind of take that string that I am going to color change on and just kind of put it off to the side. Sometimes that works well for me. Sometimes this string just inevitably creeps back in. But it kind of helps me get into the zone a little bit more. Like, with color changes, I have to use way much more brain power, obviously, you know. And then with these kind of rows, you know, I'm just kind of mostly nodding my way along without even thinking about it. But kind of putting it off to the side like that just helps give me a mental note to not get too much in the zone, you know, my flow state, I guess. So then I'm like, oh yeah, there's a color change coming. Don't forget. But I think if I maybe put in like a solid year of only alphas, I wonder if my progress would just skyrocket. You know what I mean? Like with friendship bracelets, I can look at a pattern and just go to town, you know, like I don't have to think about anything. Sometimes if it's a complicated start, you know, I'll have to dedicate more time to figuring it out, but once I can get down the pattern itself, I can just like go, you know, like subconsciously my brain is figuring out the pattern and I just don't have to, oh god, I just don't have to take the time to completely think it out. But like with alphas, especially right now, I'm like, I can't like allow myself to let my mind wander too hard or too much, because otherwise I will mess something up. It's inevitable. If I made like only alphas for a year or something like that, I would love to see how that looks, you know. Because I always feel so intimidated by alphas. I love them. Like, if I was perfect skill at friendship bracelets and alphas, I think most of the time I would just want to make like a wall hanging, you know? But I don't really feel all that confident in my skill, to be completely transparent with you. It may look really good, and this bumping out is really bothering me, but I am going to leave it alone. But while everything may look super amazing, I'm just like sweating on the inside. But I don't, like, maybe it just comes with practice, you know? Like, I have over a decade of friendship bracelet experience. So I, you know, it's only makes sense that I am as good and comfortable with them as I am. But I'm like, oh man, do I really have to work on alphas for 10 years? That sounds terrifying. But I think I just don't give myself enough credit, because this keychain looks pretty perfect, right? Like, I think even a pro would probably like how it looks. But like I said so many times, I am just such an intense perfectionist in everything I do. Like, this is really bothering me. And I think no matter how many times I pull and play with it, it's just gonna look like that, you know? And to many of you, that probably doesn't look like anything bad at all. But to me, I'm like, it's all I can stare at. But, oh my god, I would love to only do alphas for a whole year. But the problem is if I want to do a wall hanging, sometimes that takes months to do. It's a lot of work, and I'm so slow. Like, it would take me so long. Like, I've already made a wall hanging once before last year. That took me a long time, and also I got bored of it, and I needed some time to take a break and come back to it later. So that's why I added so much time to it. But like, these really small projects are just a lot more enjoyable, and especially with such a little amount of color changing in it, it's so breezy. But if I just keep doing these and I don't do color changes more often, you know, it's like I'm not going to be exercising any muscle in my brain. I'm just going to be doing what's comfortable. And sure, I can still learn from what I'm doing here, but you know, there's only so much you can do before you're just comfortable and you're not learning. When I'm working on alphas or even friendship bracelets, I never have them flat on the table. I always have them like propped up on my desk so that they're at an angle, or I have my clipboard in my lap. So my elbow is getting really tired right now and everything is hurting. But I'm so close. I only have 2 more rows after this one. Honestly, I'm kind of impressed by how quickly I'm working this up, because I have a little over an hour on my recording. So all in all, this whole keychain is going to take me a little over 2 hours, which is kind of impressive. Well, I wouldn't even say kind of, that's really impressive, because I feel like a lot of bracelets I make don't take that short of time. It helps that I'm not taking breaks. I'm just doing it all at once, so it feels faster. I think that's what it is. Like, when I make friendship bracelets on my own, I do take a lot of breaks. Like, I'm not ever just doing them in one sitting, unless I am watching a show or a movie that really has my interest, you know. And I think that's typical, you know. I'm not special for that. I'm just saying, you know. It's just so funny how it works. And usually I don't time myself on my projects, you know. And so, like right now, I have a time that I can reference. So I just keep looking at it and am in awe by it. And now I'm trying to think of how I want to finish my ends. There was a specific kind of knot that I did that the YouTube channel Not Like the Others has a video on, and it makes these fun little knots around. I think no, I was gonna say it's called a gathering knot, but it's definitely not. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back to that video because I might be able to do it without watching the video again. And it's a really cool way to gather strings together. See, that's why it makes me think it's called a gathering knot, but I don't know if that's true. I'm gonna have to like reference it because it's a fun way to end alphas. It's kind of a big problem I have with alphas too, is like ending them. I can't ever find a really pretty way to end these things. Like, I really don't want the strings to just freely hang, but like I don't want to make like a macrame kind of end, you know, where it goes from triangle to the center with the square knots. Because I think on smaller patterns, in my opinion, I don't like how that looks. I don't know what it is, but it's just not an aesthetic I prefer. But there's just no like clean, nice way to end alphas. Unless, you know, you're making bracelets, obviously. That's a whole other story. But this sort of knot, that Not Like the Others did, I really like how that looks. And I think it could be a good contrast against the white background strands that I have too. So I am gonna have to pull that video up. Like, I kind of like have the muscle memory down, you know, where I think I could make the knot, but I'm not completely confident in it. Oh, that knot did not finish perfectly. I kind of had a feeling that wasn't going to, but I'm on the second to last row, so it's not really bothering me as much as I think it would if it was way farther up. Because my next row is just going to push that up, so that's fine. 1, 2. And if anyone's curious about these base strands I'm using as well, since I talked about these ones, I am using a thread that I got in a pack from J&P Coats. Their quality is not like DMC, obviously, but it's a nice, cheaper alternative, and you can get them at, I think Michael's is where I got them, probably any craft store, maybe even Walmart, but just like a pack, not a huge pack, but a pack of black and white thread, and it really gets me by, like when I want to make this stuff. And so I don't hate it, and it's pretty on par with the thickness of DMC and other brands. Oh, this is only this row of this strand. That is very exciting. I haven't purchased DMC thread in quite a while. It is just way too expensive. I will buy DMC if I have like a $5 coupon from Michael's, because I am a rewards member there. So if I make enough purchases and I make the $5, I get that voucher, you know? If you're a member, you know. And then that's the only time I will splurge, because I can get like, what, 13 skeins or something like that. But otherwise, I buy from My Notions, Sullivan's Thread. And then I kind of just buy whatever I can. But really, I'm trying to get through my collection more. Like, that's my more important thing right now. And I haven't been doing a great job of it. It's tough because you have your colors that you want to use, but then like some of the bobbins are almost gone, so I can't make a full bracelet with that color, or like I can't start on one at all because, you know, I'm running out of thread. And then it's like, well, I gotta buy another one in that same color if I want to be able to make the project. So they just kind of sit in my tackle box, just hoping someday they only need to be used just enough in a pattern. But I really don't buy thread all that often lately. Which is sad, because I love buying thread, but I really do try to use what I have, and I'm not really vibing with my color like choices that I have anymore. Like the color palettes I kind of want to lean into with bracelets, I just don't have the right colors for it. So it's kind of hard to want to use my collection when nothing is, you know, jumping out at me, because I just want to redo my whole collection if I could, you know, but that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for thread when I already have probably hundreds of dollars worth of thread just sitting there. So, oh my god, it's so cute, the keychain's done. I'm gonna close out of this paint.net file that I have if I can find my mouse. And honestly, I'm gonna delete the pattern from my thing because I don't need it. So now I am going to quickly look at this tutorial, and I'll come back and finish the keychain with you. Oh my gosh, okay. It is a gathering knot that I was thinking of for the end, but not like the others, does not have her own video on it. But I swear I learned how to make it from one of her videos, and I think I found this other tutorial, because it's in my watch history. I think I found this other tutorial because I was confused by it. And a lot of her patterns on her thumbnails, she has the gathering knot. So I don't know which video I saw it from. But I think the reason that this confuses me so much is because everyone who does this is right-handed, and I'm left-handed. So I kind of want to use maybe the light pink. I think I'll use the light pink. I'm gonna cut these off because I don't need them anymore. Ooh, but maybe the dark pink would look good. If I want to use the light pink I would want it to go further in here, and I don't really want to waste string. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and my freaking thing broke off, so I have no way to like hold that. And I'm going to watch this video. This knot is pretty easy to make. It's just really hard to remember off the top of my head how I do it. Oh. Okay. I'm watching a tutorial by Gray Wonders, Macrame 101 Gathering Wrapping Knot tutorial. Okay, but before I actually do this, how many strings do I have? So this is a bunch, and this is a bunch. Oh, one. Like, I don't know if I want 3. Like, I think 2 would be too much. Like, just like that. I think I'll do 3. So let me do this again. That's a whole bunch. And then we'll go 1, 2. Let's do 2 and then 2. But see, now the middle is really small. And then our edges are huge. So maybe we'll bring one of each back in. See, now the middle is huge. No, wait. Not really. I think this is good. So, that was tough. That was tough, and it's not the cleanest at all. So, I'm kind of mad about it. But, when it works, I love how this looks. It's just, I don't know. That was stressful. 100% of my head covered the frame. So now we do a little chop. Almost perfect. We can remove my tape from the top and look at how beautiful the back looks. I love looking at the back of alphas so much, especially when you have like no color changes. It's just all there, all that stripy glory. So the way I'm gonna tie these off is I'm gonna split the strings and tie them. I do have fabric fusion, but I'm not really gonna waste my time. The only thing about these strings is that they're just very difficult to tie because they're so small. Even with the length that they are, it's just so much like dexterity that you need to do, or have, I guess. And the reason why I don't just tie these together is because, I guess, I don't know. I was gonna say that they're kind of far away from each other, so it would be kind of silly to tie a knot like that. But then I look at the whole pattern, and some of these strings get carried over that much. So I really don't have a good argument, I guess. But just for the sake of keeping this really clean, like if I tied these together, it's just, I don't know. It just kind of looks silly. And then you have this piece of string like kind of loose and wiggling around. At least when we're splitting the strings here, we can tie a really tight knot and just keep it really close to the keychain, and it's not super invasive to the rest of the pattern on the back, which I know really honestly isn't that big of a deal to most people, but I love looking at the back of these. Like, I love when they perfectly go across like this too. Like, I know a good hack for keeping your alphas flat is to cut these carryovers that are this long, because then that way you don't have any uneven tension pulling from the back of your alpha. But doing that means a lot more loose ends that I'm too paranoid are going to fall out, even though there are a bunch of knots. And then like there's just a bunch of glue and it just kind of gets ugly. Like, I would much rather just look at this. I love how it looks. Or sometimes, like, if I have a pattern that I make and I don't really want to see the back of it, I'll buy like lace, which I haven't done this in a long time, but I have bought lace before that is the same thickness of my pattern, and then I will glue that down so it hides everything, especially if I make a lot of knots. But most of the time I just kind of leave it alone because nobody's really looking at the back as it is. But if you just want to add like an extra finish to it, like, you know how you can close off the back of embroidered projects or cross stitch, it's kind of like the same idea, you know, but it is completely unnecessary. It's just all down to your personal preference on what you want to do to your creation. but we can take this off and snip all of these ends. Maybe we'll fabric fusion them. Probably don't need to, in all honesty. Even if this was to get used as like an actual keychain, I think it would withstand elements just fine with these knots. I'm just kind of cutting them down as close as I can without accidentally cutting anything else that is important, and just cutting it enough so that you can't see it from the front. And that is completed. Look at how beautiful. I just love looking at this. But, you know, more importantly, the keychain itself. Oh man, I can see it. The right side is just a little bit slanted down. I don't even know if you would be able to see it on camera. See how it's just like scooted? I don't know why it does that. Maybe it's just because of the way I knot. I could pull on this all day, you know, and stretch it out and even this out, but it's only gonna do so much. I mean, that did kind of help a little bit, but I think it'll just have a mind of its own. But it still looks really good, you know, all things considered. It's a very cute keychain. I'm gonna trim up a couple more of these ends right here. My hands are getting a little shaky, so I need to take a break because my elbow is getting really tired. I like essentially just had it in the air the whole time, my left one. So I need to go give it a break. But this is how it turned out. I think it is gorgeous. Like, it's not a super contrasting design on some parts, you know, but I think it still gets the point across, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. So I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of interesting video today. Hopefully this goes up on Valentine's Day. At this rate, I'm a little worried, but we'll see what happens. Thank you all so much for listening along. If you did, if you made anything else with me, I would love to hear what you made, so be sure to let me know down below, and let me know if you want to see any more like this in the future. Again, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.